We've got a lot of news to report today that are going to be very important for Tesla's ambitious plans to roll out a paid Robotaxi program in Austin this June. First, Elon Musk was just interviewed, and he said that xAI's Grok 3 might be released in a week or two. Elon is saying that Grok 3 will be the best out there. Couple that with a Tesla executive's post that voice AI agents are coming soon. Might this mean we'll be able to talk to and control our cars soon? Second, looks like Tesla's ADAS operators have been spotted testing likely a future version of FSD, hoping this might be the V13 release that will have the 3 times compute advantage. Third, looks like Tesla might be able to deliver the new Model Ys to customers sooner than expected. There have been sightings of many refreshed Model Ys in the parking lots of several of Tesla's gigafactories. Fourth, the Trump admin is nominating Jonathan Morrison to be the next chief of NHTSA, which is the agency that creates guidelines for self-driving. As an ex-Apple employee, that might be good news. But there's also a negative. Finally, Uber CEO was interviewed recently, and he says no one wants to compete with Tesla if you can help it. We got Larry Goldberg with us today. Larry knows a lot about Uber and FSD and AI, and also a lot about a lot of things. Thank you so much, Larry, for joining me.
Thanks. Great to be here, Herbert.
Let's go through each of these, lots to cover. So first, Elon was interviewed. He was talking to the Dubai World Governments Summit, and he said a few things about Grok. Let's listen to what he actually said.
I mean, Grok 3 has very powerful reasoning capabilities. In the tests that we've done thus far, Grok 3 is outperforming anything that's been released that we're aware of. That's a good sign. In fact, at times I think Grok 3 is kind of scary smart. And you're like, wow, this thing's smart. It's scary. Grok 3 is scary. It's wow, this thing's. It comes up with solutions that you didn't even think were like you wouldn't even anticipate, not obvious solutions. So Grok 3 was trained with the most amount of compute, and I think very efficiently trained. Also notably, Grok 3 was trained on a lot of synthetic data, and then it goes back and forth through the data and tries to achieve logical consistency. So if it's got data that is wrong, it'll actually reflect upon that data that is wrong. It does not concord with reality. So its base reasoning is very good. In fact, even without fine tuning, Grok 3, the base model, is better than Grok 2. So we're really in the final stages of polishing Grok 3. Probably it gets released in about a week or two. So pretty soon. I don't want to be hasty in the release because a lot of the final polish is necessary for a great user experience. In some ways, you can think of it like a house. That last 5% where you finish the drywall and do the painting and the trimming, even though it's not much work, it transforms the house. Yeah. So it's that. Just want to make sure that last 5% is done really well, and it's a week, maybe 2 weeks. I think it'll be very good, and I think this might be. We think it'll be better than anything else, and then maybe this might be the last time that any AI is better than Grok.
Okay, he said quite a lot. When I hear the way he said it, it feels like he's being honest, as opposed to saying these bombastic, large statements. He said that it's built on the most compute ever, that it's built on significant synthetic data, that it's able to kind of reason, and that it's going to be better than out there.
And it'll probably be available by June.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, he's very, very positive. The timeline is the classic 2 weeks, but I've been using Grok a lot. I've pretty much run through all of the AI, the key products out there, and I think given when Grok was released and given the state in which Grok was, I find myself using it as the most convenient, quickest access, because I'm on X quite a lot, and my X is always open, so it's really easy, accessible, and there's not a whole lot of value on looking at 2 or 3 of the others. From time to time I did a very intensive data analysis the other day, and I did it in Grok first purposely, and then I repeated it in two other vendors' tools. Turns out Grok 3 was the most, not Grok 3, obviously, Grok was the most, Grok 2, I guess, was the most accurate of them all. But that's just one instance. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for Grok 3, and I'm really excited for it to integrate into X, because the whole issue is the idea of X being the everything app. If Grok 3 is what Elon says it is, and I have to believe him, then that eliminates a lot of work for me, a lot. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to see whether or not Grok is better than the others. That's coming soon. We'll see if it comes soon. But I think more importantly for our Tesla investors, right, is whether or not Grok is going to be part of the cars, the Robotaxi release, whether it's going to be part of the bots. And so, you have to kind of piece everything together, right? Elon did say that Grok will be coming to Tesla cars. We don't know when. And that, one reason could be that they're waiting for Grok 3 to be so good and the experience better. And then, so that's just an LLM. You can ask questions, it tells you the answers. But there's this exchange I had with a Tesla employee, Raj Nathan, and he said, integration of AI agentic workflow across business processes and customer support looks promising. Customers will soon benefit from these enhancements. So, he's confirming again that Tesla is using AI not only for the cars and bots, but also throughout the factories. And in this case, he's saying business processes and customer support. So then I asked him, might you give a clue of one example we can look forward to? And he said, voice AI agents integrated with internal apps provide personalized interaction. The voice AI agents sound very much like a Grok, or maybe they created their own. Now, it could just be internal apps, right? It could be, like you said, customer service. But a lot of people replied to this saying that this sounds like Grok going to be implemented in the cars also. Yeah. What's your take on this?
I worry about the amount of compute available right now in the cars. We're going to use a lot more of AI4's power to expand the models and the compute window in for FSD. So I doubt whether they would put Grok on the AI4 chip. Which
interesting.
Grok, it would need Grok having to be put onto, the other processor. I don't even remember which processor is current in the current vehicles. But I mean, one thing's for sure: the voice-activated commands in Tesla are, they're not used by and large because they're not very smart. That would be an enormous improvement, particularly in a robot cab, but certainly it would be a good improvement for the cars. So I just don't know whether we have the firepower in the cars to be able to accommodate it's possible. Given that we're using Grok on a standard laptop computer, it's more than possible, but I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I think it's a necessity. It's a necessary thing to be part of the Robotaxi. If you truly want a tremendous experience, you need something to be able to, it's not.
You need the interactive, connection with the passenger. Yeah. Now, whether you can do that, over the cloud, to the cloud.
Right. It could just be slower response, right?
Yeah. So that's more than possible, and you will be out of, the signal from time to time, and maybe they'll add, direct to cell capability from and that's coming. I mean, once the next sequence, once Starship takes off and can put the larger satellites in, that's more than possible. So everything's possible. Just step by step. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing that's still speculative here is what's going on here. So we've got Apple announcing, this is Tim Cook saying that get ready to meet the newest member of the family. So in next Wednesday, they're going to have a launch. And they show this image. And Elon reposted it. So that's the interesting thing is Elon actually just reposted this. It could be nothing. This is pretty well nothing to do with Tesla. But some people are now saying, what is this? And why would Elon repost this? Any quick thoughts on that?
Well, it's possible that he reposted it because, they're now buddy-buddy because Apple's coming back to advertise on the X platform, which is an important step forward because, that's kind of like a stamp of approval. I mean, that's a big step forward for X. But could it be a product that has a relationship with Tesla? It would be really good if it was. Time will tell. It's really hard to tell. Maybe it's a Grok release. It's difficult to tell. I wouldn't read anything into it until we actually know.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I do know that Apple is agnostic to the AI. So they have a partnership with OpenAI, but the way they position it was, we will implement other AIs as well.
Have you used AI on the Apple phone yet?
I've turned it off. Apple Intelligence is the worst possible thing I could possibly imagine. Turned it off, removed it as much as I can. It is so terrible.
Well, I'm hoping that if Apple does incorporate Grok, they don't screw it up again because I don't want Grok to get a bad name through Apple.
Yeah. I think it's the opposite. Like, now that they're friends, he'll say, please use Grok in your Apples. And he might have said yes. So, some sort of exchange. We'll see. Like you said, way too soon. This is for fun. I just want to share that because the speculation by a lot of Tesla investors jumps up quite quickly. Here's another one. Chuck Cook, of course, is well known as one of the best FSD beta testers out there. And he often sees these Tesla operators, ADAS operators, in his neighborhood because they want to test out his left turn. They've been doing this for many releases. And he's noticed a pattern that whenever he sees multiple kinds of vehicles, in this case, a Cybertruck, Model 3, Model Y, that it means, in his past experience, that it means a future version of FSD is now being tested. He's saying that he thinks that these guys are validating a new version. And then Omar said, hope it's a 3 times larger model. So as you know, their current version 13 is fantastic, by the way. But Ashok Goswami was promising that there's going to be a upcoming soon. One of the things is that it's going to be trained on a 3 times larger model. So it's unbelievable that the 13 series we're using is so good already, but it's not even the one that's been trained at the larger model, which is should be better. It's going to be coming soon.
It has become so good that my wife turned to me yesterday and she said, I want to use it. Now she is a very cautious driver, and I will tell you that she was brave enough to let me run FSD right back to version 10 when she was in the car, and she lived with it, and she was a great trooper. But to actually ask me to, she wants to take it over and I said, let's do it. So I'll drive with her once or twice, but I'm sure this version 13, it's scary good. It is scary good.
I haven't told you, Larry, my story. We haven't spoken in a week, and I don't want to repeat it because I think every single show that I've done since Monday, I've said it. Larry, I drove with my wife on FSD from Seattle to Vancouver and back, about 8 hours drive, 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back, same day, and then a couple hours driving around. It was so flawless. It was so wonderful. It was so perfect. No critical disengagements. Every time I disengaged, it was for drive through the Nexus lane on the border, supercharger. It was so good. My wife was blown away because think about it, 7-8 hours of driving. And I barely, because you kept telling me whenever you go through these long drives, how can you go from South Carolina to Austin and back? And you go, FSC drove me. And so now I get what you're saying. It was so easy because I literally just, I'm supervising it. And but the energy level is so good, no energy at all. I'm not worried about, anyways. Anyway, I was just telling you, it is so good that even my wife is probably going to say the same thing soon.
Last night we had a dinner engagement and we drove about 40 minutes to this dinner engagement through the most terrible storm, driving rain, darkest. I mean, it just handled it.
I will say that you have to be on hardware 4 and you have to be on 13.3. You can't, don't think that you're going to see the same experience with the Model 3 that's on the hardware 3. I don't think it's the same, even 12.6.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or Cybertrucks.
Yeah. And we took the Model 3 last night because I wanted FSD to drive, and the Cybertruck's not there yet.
Don't do that. Okay, so a few more information that came out recently is the refresh launch of the refresh version of the Model Y came out. Okay, it came out in early January. And in China, it is a blockbuster sales, right? We're seeing lots of people buying it. And in the US, it came out pretty quickly. The problem was they said that, oh, it's not going to be available till May. Well, people are getting emails now saying that it's going to come sooner. It's now ready. And this is Joe Techmeyer, who has drone footage of Giga Texas. And he said the large group of refresh launch edition Model Ys at the outbound lot today. Exciting as reservation holders are being told to prepare for delivery soon. So let's listen to what he said here.
Well, hey everybody, it's Joe back out here at Giga Texas on this Wednesday, the 12th of February. And I got some big news for you today. For the first time over in the outbound lot, we can see many of the brand new Model Ys in all kinds of colors. And it looks like they're starting to build up the inventory over at that outbound lot so they can begin to start shipping them out for deliveries. Now, what we have seen in the very recent past, the last 24 hours, is many people that have reservations for those Model Ys are getting their delivery dates, and some of them are as early as next week. Now, here at Giga Texas, I think towards the end of February, before they're going to start seeing some of these vehicles delivered to customers. So I'll just keep watching what's going on here at Giga Texas, but this is a very good sign that we are seeing this number of brand new Model Ys getting ready to be shipped out. And I'm very excited for Tesla and also all the customers. They're going to get a chance to get one of these here very soon. Now, one other thing that I want to show you that is of interest today is this Model Y. It's over by the west side of the General Assembly. It's near where all of the new vehicles exit the factory for the very first time. This one looks like it's got a lot of camouflage on it. It's got the kind of the vinyl wraps on the front and the rear, and it covers quite a large portion of the car. Now, why are they doing this? I don't know. But with these images here, I'm kind of curious what you guys might think. So if you happen to know, or if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments, and I'll keep looking for more of these. But
I have a guess.
Yeah, what's your guess?
Take a look at this. Why would you cover the dashboard? I think it's the premium version.
Yeah.
Performance version. Make it much more sporty.
Well, that was my first thought. That was my first thought. But isn't it fantastic that they finally figured out how to roll out on a global basis a new release rapidly? This is very, very comforting. I thought we were going to go through the same drill as we went through the Model 3 refresh, but it looks like they've aced it this time.
Yeah, I think this is incredibly important, right? Because you got these revised Model Ys coming out. Not only did they release it in January, not only did they do global, but now they're actually delivering it to customers here at the end of February. That lets them, in my mind, sets them up for the new, more affordable vehicles that maybe, it's supposed to be on track and supposed to happen the first half, but maybe it's more likely that it's actually going to happen if they can get the Model Y settled and, scaled and everything's already in place.
Right. It would be very important to be able to do that. Very important. And China, the sales are going gangbusters. Wow.
It's gangbusters. Yeah, this is going to be better than the old Model Y. I think this is what's looking at. Not only equal to it, but better. It's like a great car, like brilliant what they did with it, especially the rear lights. That's actually, have you seen that? The red light that goes to the street. It's like it shines over the street, not only the bar itself. So it's like driving around with this light on the road. It's gorgeous. So let's see if you think this is good news or bad news. So the Trump admin has nominated a new person to become the chief of NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety and Administration. This guy's name is Jonathan Morrison, and he previously was the chief counsel for NHTSA. Okay, so during the first Trump admin, then he worked at Apple since then, and at Apple he was responsible for the autonomous vehicle that Apple was making, the policy. So he knows his stuff, right? It's great. But the negative, so this says here, it's a reasonable guess that he worked on policy issues relating to Apple's discontinued autonomous car project. Okay. But the problem is that previously he also lobbied for auto dealerships, for auto dealers. And then Rohan Patel, who was an ex-top Tesla executive, said that this guy previously worked for the franchised auto dealers of California, fighting Tesla on a regular basis. And he said, honestly, he seemed like a generally solid guy when I interact with him at NHTSA. So, good news or bad news, Larry?
I think it's good news. I think anybody who's hired by the Trump administration has to be comfortable to work with Elon. If you've worked with, I know of many people who are very strong Tesla advocates who were dealers, who worked for dealers, who were car salesmen in, an ICE dealership. So I don't think that counts against him. I think the fact that he's worked on autonomy before, particularly, I think that's key. I think it's absolutely key. I'm excited. I'm very positive about it. Very positive.
Yeah, I agree. I think that at the end of the day, you want somebody who's tech forward, somebody who policy of autonomy. So he's more likely than not a proponent of moving this technology forward rather than trying to fight every single step of the way.
The question is, does he understand over-the-air updates?
Good one. Good one. Yeah, maybe he'll finally get rid of the word recall for OTAs. Yeah, that's hilarious.
My God.
That's funny.
Terrible.
All right, so the final topic here is one that you and I have had discussions with quite often, which is Uber. And is there a role for Uber versus Tesla? Well, Dara Kozłowski, who's the CEO, he's back out there, and he's been out there. He was I did a show on him just a few days ago where he did an interview, but this is a new one. So this one, I don't actually have his actual voice here, but I'll read you the transcript. So he was asked this question: does this mean, though, that actually your potentially biggest problem might be Tesla? Because you mentioned before, they're going to be an integrated player from the car to the software. You can imagine Elon's like, no, you're going to use the Tesla app. I think I have the largest bullhorn in the world. I can drive customer acquisition of my own. And that even if it's reckless and you've said you'd love to partner with them, I'm sure you would, but it's ultimately not the threat, that at least the airlineification might be more than you would like. I think he's what he's saying, this guy, too, because Uber guys have been saying that Uber's app has a moat and Elon and Tesla would benefit for integrating Tesla into the Uber app. And then he's guys saying, maybe you're wrong. Maybe Elon would just go along with his Uber app, Tesla app. This is what he said, CEO. Yeah, listen, no one wants to compete against Tesla or Elon if you can help it. Their capabilities are pretty extraordinary, but I think the same economic laws apply to them. Ultimately, if Tesla puts their cars on our network, we already have 150,000 drivers who are driving Teslas. And if they get FSD, they'd love to plug it into Uber as well. Then that Tesla that is both on Uber, and by the way, they could be both on Uber and the network, that is going to create much, much more revenue. Ultimately, that'll increase the value of the Tesla so that the residual value of the car improves. And if they don't do that, there'll be some other OEM that does it. So it all comes back to revenue generation. You have a box with wheels. You want to maximize the revenue of that box in order to reduce your cost of capital, and economic loss applies to Tesla, just as they do to any other car company. To some extent, you look at the food business. I'll go there, right? McDonald's has its own app and has an incredible brand, has a lot of capital, has terrific reach. They still work with Uber Eats and DoorDash because they don't want to drive they want to drive utilization of that box called the restaurant. That same economic value is going to be true going forward. Ultimately, we're hoping that my charm and economic argument gets Tesla to work with us as well. If they want a direct channel, no problem. Are you sold? You've always been sold, right? You've always agreed with Uber's position on this, that why wouldn't Tesla partner with Uber?
Yeah, but the news coming out of Elon, from Elon, indicates that he's not at all thinking this way.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, bluntly, that they're going to be 25% cheaper than, I guess he said Waymo, but he implied that he wasn't really interested in third parties. He implied that he wanted to go himself let Tesla go to the market. So that's kind of blunted my my certainty a little. So we'll see. I mean, Darren's right and Elon's right. Darren's right in that, there's 150,000 drivers ready to go. Elon's right. He doesn't need, Uber. But on the other hand, rolling out globally, this service when you've got these people already running a service globally, anyway, we'll see. I mean, we do know that Elon really does not he likes to own his own future. And so that may be the ultimate decision point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I actually think that it's pretty weak, the argument that Uber CEO has. So you've got 150,000 Tesla owners on Uber's network. So Tesla says, come onto my app. And then they'll just use their app. Almost every single Uber driver is a driver for Lyft. Every time I go on Uber, I ask them the same thing, and they basically open up both apps at the same time, and they find which one of them has a car or a customer, and that's the one that they'll take. So
that's right, and it could happen that way with Tesla as well. There's no reason why it couldn't happen that way.
It's pretty easy to I've got a Tesla, and I'm into ride hailing, and the Tesla has one. Okay, let me sign up with them. Not going to be that hard, and you don't have to go through all the driver verification and safety and all those tests. Because there's no need for you to be a driver. You just put your car into the network, add and subtract. So it's going to be as easy as me doing it as.
I don't know. I think Tesla is going to have some minimum requirements that you're going to have to meet in order to run through their network. I mean, they have a huge legal liability, and so they're going to have to deal with that. And so in order to deal with that, they're going to look at background of this. I have very little doubt. And they're going to look at, driving record of this. I have a little doubt. Now, it's stupid to look at a driving record when this car is going to drive itself. That's actually not the point. The point is the person's, honesty and integrity. I think that's the underlying issue.
It'll be interesting to see. There we go. So a lot of things, a lot of it we don't know yet, but it's interesting little developments, and we'll find out very soon. But every one of those things are very important for Tesla's Robotaxi.
Look, there's going to have to be third-party supervision of the cars for when it's stuck, where it gets into an intervention situation and so on. And the question is how they're going to manage that. So presumably that's from a central point. So they're going to have some tie-in of control in addition to, the app itself. And I think that's how they will ensure that they have exclusivity of the car.
I mean, how many times has Elon said that we want to have fleet manager partners? So, and that they're willing to sell the Cybercab to customers. So there is going to be fleet managers. My only argument was whether or not Uber can become a fleet manager, but this whole idea that Uber is going to become this marketplace with multiple OEMs offering autonomy, and they're like, that's just Yes, maybe what, 5-10 years from now, but not next several years. So
Or not.
or never. Yeah, that's my point. Thank you so much, Larry. Follow him on his X account at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.